Hey guys, here we are going to go into round 6. So far, rounds 1, 2, and 4 have consisted of Kovalev using his lead hand control and his feinting and his probing really well, and pretty much shutting Ward out of those rounds, whereas round 3 and 5, he used much less of those, and those rounds wound up being a lot closer than they kind of needed to be, particularly in round 3, but round 4 being close, because Kovalev was looking to counter rather than to lead. And Ward is a crafty fighter. You know, he's a crafty fighter. He knows when he's making a mistake. He's able to, stop himself from being completely out of position when he throws punches. Not controlling Sergey when he throws punches all the time. Sometimes like trying to close the distance by grabbing after he throws a punch or doing things like that, but not necessarily controlling Kovalev when he puts himself out of position to throw punches, but having a good understanding of knowing when he's in danger and kind of not allowing him to be taken advantage of when he's leading, right? So Kovalev not having the cleanest opportunities to land his counters. So let's go ahead and see how this round develops and see where it goes. Maybe there'll be like a little bit of a little change or something. Kovalev coming out with kind of a wild left hook, it looks like. Super telegraphed and controls his head after, but Andre Ward easily able to get away from it. And one thing that he does do really well after that, he controls his head, and as he's taking a step back, he's able to push Ward off of him while Ward is trying to close that distance and clinch with him. I don't really have a problem with him pushing off right there because Ward shouldn't be clinching as much as he's trying to clinch. So it's okay. Okay. Not the greatest. Kovalev coming in, probing, feinting. They're both kind of feinting each other. Ooh. Now this is funny, right? This kind of looks like, why? Why is he doing that, right? He's completely out of position. He's not really close enough to be hit. But remember last time when Ward threw that body shot, right, ducked down, and when he stayed there and he came up with that other jab, so Kovalev is getting down away from it, coming up, trying to catch him just in case he stays in for the same punch, right? Really funny, really clever. Again, Ward finding success with that body shot. Really interesting that he's not really getting countered, right? That like Kovalev tries to catch him with some counters after as he's out of position. But right here, really good. Times it perfectly. And I'm not sure, exactly what Ward is doing necessarily to give it away. But Kovalev catches him perfectly with the jab right there. And I guess he kind of expected Ward to be pulling away off of getting shot, but Ward does the smart thing and closes the distance after getting hit. Really good. But then we have this little ugly thing where Kovalev gets on top of him, but also at the same time, while he's getting on top of him, Ward is putting his arm around him and picking him up, and winds up picking him up all the way off the ground. These kind of wild clinches and stuff, I understand both fighters are trying to be physical with one another. Kovalev's reasoning might be a little different than Ward's, but physical nonetheless, right? But after that, they're kind of tied up, and Ward's landing some shots, not really like effective shots or anything, but I don't know. I think the referee probably should have broke them after this point. After that, they should have broken them because it's not really fair that he gets pushed out of position like that, but whatever. I do think that Kovalev lands a good shot in here. That was a decent shot. That one was probably pretty good. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it kind of gets in there. I'm not sure how clean it lands, but, Kovalev giving nearly as good as he's getting. I just want to point this out. This cracked me out when I was watching the video for review. But he gives him like that super hard feint that gets Ward's attention. And then Ward gives him the same feint and gets a little smile on his face. Oh, that shit cracks me up. Ward doing the smart thing, right? After the hand control, or after that probing shot, right? See how Kovalev leaves it out there? Ward controls his head, but doesn't stay there when he controls him with that jab, right? Like he usually does. He usually stays close. This time he circles out and resets. Interesting right here. Kovalev showing off of that jab last time that he's starting to get Ward's timing for this body shot. Sees him dip down and goes for this right hand. Look at how close this right hand is to landing right here, right? So again, Kovalev resigned to allowing Ward to lead and allow him to make mistakes so he can catch him with big shots. Usually Ward is pretty responsible with that and doesn't allow Kovalev to land those shots like in those other rounds. But this time, this one kind of lands on the back, right? As the shot comes, it looks like a clean shot. It looks like it's going to land cleanly, but Ward does something that he's not allowed to do, and he dips below the waist. You know, he gets his head a little bit too far down, and the reason that he's not allowed to do that is not because it's like too good of a move or it's too, you know, oh, it's too strong of a defensive tactic, but in this instance, it's really dangerous for Ward. Kovalev is a big puncher. We've already seen him drop Ward already. He shouldn't really be putting himself into positions where he's taking shots like that to the back of his neck or to his back. But because of the way that he dips right there, he kind of gets caught with a shot in an illegal spot that's not necessarily Kovalev's fault. And they kind of tie up, and I don't know if anything lands here. You know, not really clean punches. If you've ever been in a boxing ring and wrestled with somebody while they're trying to punch you, those punches don't really hurt. They're, you know, sometimes they can be clean, but, you know, when you're not in your athletic stance throwing punches and getting your weight behind them, they're nothing. Some feinting from Ward. Some feinting from Kovalev. And Kovalev allowing Ward to go first. Oh, nope, he throws a punch first. Gets under the counter. And right here, the referee gets in the way, and it's weird because sometimes right when fighters punch, that's exactly when they change camera angles sometimes, but this one stays here for I don't know how long. You know, there's like a couple seconds, 3 seconds or whatever, that the referee's just blocking the action. I don't know, weird. So we're not going to break any of that down. Doesn't matter. Again, not controlling the distance. Oh, man. So let's go back to here. So again, no one really controlling the distance. Two fighters kind of standing in front of each other, not really doing anything. And very reminiscent to those, you know, C-level fighters. A lot of times they get into stalemates, right? We know that Kovalev is not a C-level fighter, right? I have a hard time exactly quantifying his offense. I kind of feel like he probably has maybe the best offense in all of boxing. You know, I kind of reckon sometimes I want to say it's better than Gennady Golovkin's, but Golovkin's is like more responsible when he's using it, when he's being in my opinion. But for some reason, I just want to give that edge to Kovalev, being a better offensive fighter. I'm not sure if it's true, but I have them like so close. Obviously, I don't think Kovalev is as good of a fighter as Golovkin, but not by much. It's the margin is not a lot. Kovalev is a very, very good fighter. But right here, the reason that he's kind of having these stalemates is he's allowing Ward to be the one to lead because he's hoping that he's going to make a mistake. And right here, the body shot that he's been letting Ward land this whole time, he's just been timing him. And bam, when he goes for that body shot, Kovalev catches him with a big right hand. Just a beautiful shot. Really, really good. And then I'm not sure why, but right after he eats a jab and and Ward goes for the same body shot. You know, very puzzling to me why Ward would try to use the same shot that almost, you know, that made him just take what could have been a fight-ending punch. Now we have Kovalev standing in front of him and being like a little more committed to his probe right here. If you see when he throws this jab out, boom, tosses it out. Not like a real punch, but he used it to kind of close the distance and kind of slip what might have been a counter, right? And then catch him kind of on the back of the neck, you know, on the back of the head, you know. A scoring punch, you know, it's not a dirty shot, but he uses it to close the distance and Lands a good shot there. But, you know, I just kind of wonder why... Oh, beautiful. I wonder why Kovalev is not using the high-level offense that he has, you know? If you guys are seeing this in the comments, right? If you guys are seeing something that Ward's doing to kind of take it away, let me know, you know? I'm only a man. I only know so much. I can only see so much. And I can only stand to watch the same round so many times. So if you guys see something that I don't see, let me know. I personally think that it might just be that he's trying not to get tangled up. You know, that might be the only reason. But I think that for the most part, he's just trying to let Ward lead and walk himself into shots. You know, kind of like that right hand. But anyway, beautiful right here. Very, very high level like chess match going on right here. Ward gives him a feint. Kovalev reacts to the feint with the uppercut, right? And he's like, oh, I just gave away my hand. So what does he do? He throws another punch, the jab. It misses, right? Barely misses, touches him on the chest, but not with like not with any ferocity, right? Not with any power, right? And then Ward counters him with the jab, and he tries to counter with the right hook. Just beautiful exchange. Just absolutely beautiful. Very high level stuff right there. Oh, the Illuminati! Oh no! I don't know what happened with that, what was going on, but we're back into the fight. I think we missed 20 seconds. I'm not sure what happened. Some good probing, some feinting. Beautiful right here. Tosses the jab, the probing jab as he closes the distance and gets his forearm right here. He like throws a right hand. I think he punched himself in his own hand, but controls Ward's head and doesn't allow him to body up with him and get a hold of him. Right, really smart. I'm not sure why he didn't use these little tactics earlier. Right, controlling his head and stepping back. Eats a body shot from Ward. I'm not sure exactly if those are just like really tough for Kovalev to see coming, or he wants more of them to come, so he's allowing him to catch him with the shot. But right here, again, remember cutting off the ring, gets into punching range and is able to land a shot because he's cutting the ring off. Cuts the ring off right there, so Ward changes direction. What happens right here? Tosses a jab out. Kovalev gets under it, lands a really good body shot. And like the difference between a body shot like this, if you look at Kovalev when he's in position, and we'll talk about Ward putting his hand on top of Kovalev's head after, but the difference between inside fighting like this is Kovalev is in punching position, right? A shot like that is probably going to be, you know, 3 times as effective as the kind of body shots that that Ward lands when he's tied up like this and he's standing straight up. There's no power in those shots, whereas the one that Kovalev lands right there, there's a ton of power in it. But Ward comes in with this jab. Kovalev kind of counters it with his own jab, but I think he's just using it to create space. But Ward kind of pulls his head in and puts him in a headlock, exactly what Kovalev was being accused of all night. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Actually, don't tell me. I don't want to respond. I know what you guys think about it. It sucks. But again, ooh, now you can't really tell super clean, but boom, catches him with the left hook, catches him with the right hand, and that's predicated off of Ward not really being in position, right? He can't really move backwards because the ropes are in his way. And this is exactly what happens when you're out of position. You got to pay the piper. You know, he doesn't wind up getting out of the way of those shots super well, but sometimes you're just going to get caught with shots when you're out of position. You're fighting a high-level guy. So right here, oh, Kovalev feints him with the jab, and then Ward comes in. Oh, really smart. I love that. Kovalev's starting to figure it out now, to not use the probes and the feints, or not the probes and the jabs when he's at the distance, but to use more of the feints, and gets Andre Ward to kind of commit to coming inside, gets under him himself and lands a great body shot right there. It doesn't look like, it might not be like the hardest the hardest shot, but a great shot that he lands off of a feint, getting Ward to commit to his, you know, defensive style tactic. But one other thing that I want to talk about is when they're in this close. Wait, let's see where. So when they're in this close, if you look at where Kovalev's arms are, right? The reason he's able to fight and able to punch and not getting thrown off balance is because he keeps his arms to himself. You know, a lot of times he's trying to get his arm over on top of Ward's head so he doesn't wind up getting headbutted, right? But dipping down like this and keeping his hands to himself, right? Ward just puts himself completely out of position trying to smother him, and he's not able to close the distance on the right hand, and that's why he's able to land it. You know, Kovalev does kind of pick his left hand up right here to kind of control Ward, maybe to keep him in front of him while he lands that shot. But the fact that he doesn't immediately wrap him up and allow Ward to get a hold of him to kind of wrestle and push him off balance allows him to land that shot. I think that that's definitely something he's going to need to work on and to do in the second fight. Slips the jab. And this is really interesting, right? Because almost all of those jabs have been going at Kovalev's body, right? I think that one actually kind of grazes Kovalev. I'm not sure. Let's see. But it's really, yeah, grazes him on the cheek. You know, Kovalev doesn't get all the way out of the way. He probably expected it to be another body shot. Again, like conditioning, Ward doing a good job, like mixing it up. And, you know, he's a smart fighter. He understands, like, conditioning your opponent to think one thing's going to happen, you know, kind of setting traps, right? A very basic level of setting up your offense. Only basic because it takes so long, right? It's not something that, like, you can always just do in the first round, you know. But he conditions Kovalev to think it's going to be a body shot. Comes down, catches him with that shot. I think Kovalev actually catches him with a jab too, but Kovalev right here, bam, catches him with a good right hand because he doesn't tangle up with him again, right? Does he actually? I think he might put his arm around. Yeah, he does actually, but he still lands a great body shot or a great head shot in there, and then a little more of the ugly wrestling kind of stuff right there. Let's take a look at that. So he's holding him with his right arm and his left arm. Stops holding him with the left arm, punches. Nah, not really anything to break down. Just kind of, you know, I don't know. If people enjoy that kind of boxing, that wrestling stuff, that, you know, quote-unquote inside fighting, I don't know. Personally, I think, you know, stuff like this is much more akin to what inside fighting is, where both fighters have their hands free and they're, like, you know, a little more crouched and catching each other with shots. That's much more, like, closer to what I assume inside fighting is, right? Creating a little space by pushing off. But once they start tying up, you know, I don't know. It just ceases to be boxing to me. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, thanks guys.